For generations of television viewers, Demond Wilson will always be remembered as Lamont Sanford, the calm and principled son who anchored one of the most influential sitcoms of the 1970s. Yet, reducing his life to a single role does a disservice to a man whose journey stretched far beyond the boundaries of television fame. Wilson's life reflects purpose shaped by discipline, hardship, and deep faith. Actor, author, soldier, minister, and devoted family man, he navigated success without allowing it to define his worth. While his work in entertainment brought him recognition and financial stability, his real measure of success was rooted in integrity and conviction. In an industry often driven by excess and image, Wilson quietly chose a different path, one that balanced public achievement with private meaning. His story is not simply about stardom, but about evolution, resilience, and the courage to redefine fulfillment on his own terms. Roots in Georgia, dreams forged in New York. Demond Wilson was born on October 13, 1946, in Valdosta, Georgia, but his creative spark truly ignited after his family relocated to New York City. The city's cultural energy exposed him early to performance, discipline, and possibility. Remarkably, Wilson appeared on a Broadway stage by the age of 4, a rare experience that hinted at his natural comfort under the spotlight. He trained in tap dance and ballet as a child, developing precision and control that would later define his acting style. By age 12, he had performed at Harlem's Apollo Theatre, a landmark venue steeped in Black artistic history. Each performance wasn't merely an opportunity, but a confirmation that storytelling could be both expression and calling. These early experiences laid a foundation built not on fame, but on craft, patience, and respect for the stage. Faith, fragility, and a promise. Faith played a formative role in Wilson's upbringing and would later become central to his identity. Raised Catholic, he served as an altar boy and briefly considered the priesthood, drawn to the idea of service and spiritual purpose. Summers spent with his Pentecostal grandmother exposed him to a different expression of belief, one that left a lasting impression. At just 13 years old, Wilson faced a life-threatening medical emergency when his appendix ruptured. The experience profoundly altered his outlook. During recovery, he made a quiet promise to God that if his life was spared, he would one day serve in a meaningful way. Though his immediate future would lead him into entertainment rather than ministry, that vow never faded. It remained a silent compass, guiding him through fame, hardship, and the decisions that would later reshape his life. Service, sacrifice, and survival. Before Hollywood ever called his name, Demond Wilson served his country. From 1966 to 1968, he was enlisted in the United States Army and deployed with the 4th Infantry Division during the Vietnam War. The experience was harrowing and transformative. Wilson was wounded in combat, returning home with physical injuries and emotional scars that would take years to process. Like many veterans of his generation, he carried memories that could not easily be spoken. Rather than allowing that pain to consume him, he found release through performance. Upon returning to civilian life, Wilson immersed himself in theatre, appearing in Broadway and off-Broadway productions that allowed him to channel trauma into expression. Acting became more than a profession. It was a form of survival. Those years instilled a quiet strength that would later define both his screen presence and personal philosophy. From stage to screen, Wilson's transition from theatre to film and television was steady and earned, not sudden or manufactured. He began appearing in guest roles on popular series such as Mission, Impossible, and All in the Family, leaving a strong impression even in limited screen time. His early film work included The Organization and Dealing, or the Berkeley to Boston 40 Brick Lost Bag Blues, projects that sharpened his understanding of cinematic storytelling. These roles prepared him for a far greater opportunity on the horizon. Casting directors recognized in Wilson a rare combination of restraint, intelligence, and emotional credibility. He didn't dominate scenes with volume. He grounded them with presence. By the early 1970s, it was clear he was ready for a defining role, one that would bring his calm intensity into millions of homes each week. Becoming Lamont Sanford. In 1972, Demond Wilson was cast as Lamont Sanford on NBC's Sanford and Son, a role that would define a generation of television. Playing opposite Red Fox's explosive Fred Sanford, Wilson became the emotional anchor of the series. Lamont was patient, principled, and quietly resilient, the perfect counterbalance to his father's schemes and theatrics. The chemistry between Wilson and Fox was undeniable, blending humour with heart in a way few sitcoms had achieved before. At its peak, the show ranked among the highest-rated programs on television, drawing tens of millions of viewers weekly. When Fox briefly exited the series during a contract dispute, Wilson carried the narrative with professionalism and grace. Although the experience was emotionally difficult, he chose forgiveness over resentment, a decision that reflected his character both on and off the screen. Life after the spotlight. After Sanford and Son concluded in 1977, Wilson continued acting, starring in projects like Baby, I'm Back and The New Odd Couple, as well as films including Full Moon High and Me and the Kid. Yet as his career progressed, he felt increasingly disconnected from Hollywood's priorities. Fame had brought visibility, but not fulfillment. In 1984, Wilson honored the promise he made as a child by becoming an ordained minister in the Church of God in Christ. Ministry soon became central to his life. He spoke openly about the spiritual emptiness he felt during his years of fame and warned against the moral compromises often normalized in the entertainment industry. Rather than chasing relevance, he chose service, teaching, and faith-based work. It was not an escape, but a deliberate redefinition of success. Writing, reflection, and purpose. In later years, Wilson found another voice through writing. His books reflected his spiritual convictions and his concern for cultural and moral clarity. New Age Millennium examined belief systems he viewed as spiritually misleading, while his memoir, Second Banana, offered an honest and reflective look at his time on Sanford and Son. The memoir balanced gratitude with transparency, acknowledging both the joy and the pain of working on a groundbreaking series. Writing allowed Wilson to reclaim his narrative without bitterness or nostalgia. He didn't seek to rewrite history, only to contextualize it with wisdom gained over time. Through ministry, books, and selective acting work, he demonstrated that growth doesn't require abandoning the past, only understanding it. His later years were marked not by withdrawal, but by intention, a legacy of choice and conviction. Demond Wilson's legacy is not defined solely by laughter, but by courage. He proved that it is possible to walk away from fame without walking away from purpose. In a culture obsessed with visibility, he chose integrity. In an industry built on noise, he chose reflection. As a husband, father, artist, and minister, he lived a life guided by conviction rather than applause. While Lamont Sanford remains beloved, Wilson's true contribution lies in the example he set beyond the screen. His journey reminds us that success is not measured by how long one stays in the spotlight, but by how honestly one lives once the lights dim. His story endures not because of a single role, but because of the principles he carried through every chapter of his life.